So, today we'll talk about how to create a visual agenda. So, first of all, now this is in progress. So, my name is Carsten Lützen and I'm a Scrum Master and Agile Coach. And I'll be sharing some of my tips and tricks, and I hope you can use them for something. Today we'll talk about how to create a visual agenda and what actually works. And one of the things I really like is doing this. So, let's say that was the welcome. So, I guess most of you guys already know Kanban or however we pronounce it. The idea is actually just that we have our to-do list here. That is the agenda for today or for this session or for this refinement or retrospective or whatever we use it for. Then we have the in progress. So that is what are we actually looking into at the moment. And then of course, last but not least, the done column. I guess most of us know this old slide counter down in the corner in PowerPoint, right? Sometimes it was actually really nice to know that, okay, now we're on slide 44 out of 155. So we know we have at least made it some way so far. What I can really recommend is doing it physical like this. Because by doing this, people at all points in time can see what are we going to look into now, what are we going to look into next. It doesn't really matter if we're talking a retrospective session or a meeting that is just an hour, or if we're talking an entire day. In this way, we can easily reprioritize the backlog, this to-do list. If people think this is more important than this, for instance, fine, let's just move it, if we agree on that. Or if we want to add something, we can add it, and then we can have a discussion around it. And for that, Kanban is actually a pretty nice tool. It's easy to understand, people know it, and it doesn't really provide us with a lot of overhead. Of course, there is always a thing you need to put into consideration, right? Should we just use text, so writing exactly on the cards, what are we going to look at, or should we just draw it instead? My going in is, I love to draw. I'm not necessarily good at it, but I have a fun time doing it, and it seems so that the meeting participants think it's funny and it's nice to look at these drawings instead of just text. So I try to combine it somewhat. I prefer to make drawings, but again, if it's a really technical subject, right, then try to draw that. If we're talking something hardcore computer science theory concept, then maybe text is better. But that is my going in, is to draw it. Even though people at first might think, what is that? They actually tend to buy into it in the end. So, what scenarios can we actually use it for? It might be in a classroom setting. Again, have it on the wall, so we can always reference it and say, we are going to look into this feedback thingy later. But for now, we'll focus on what scenarios we can use this for. It can also be in a retrospective, if we use the Derby-Larsen model, for instance. So we could have one card for each of the states, so we easily show where in this retrospective are we. So people are not confused, don't have an idea of what way we're heading. Or if we're doing an introduction to a piece of software. Again, just the headlights, headlines. That's completely fine. It doesn't need to be more fancy than that, but it really adds transparency and people can get a sense of progress, which is really, really important. It can also be, as I mentioned, used for workshops that span entire days. The possibilities are completely up to us, right? Last but not least, if you have any feedback to me, just let me know. So comments, feedbacks, please share it. That would be awesome. If you have any things you would like me to look into, let me know. That would again also be awesome. Because I really believe that is how we can help each other, right? By sharing good ideas. So thank you and have a good day.